Now there is another particular specifically protocol which have referred about different issues, different dimension of environmental law, and that is the Basel Protocol on Liability and Compensation for Hazardous Waste. Now this Basel Protocol on Liability on Compensation for Hazardous Waste, they have referred about the movement of the transboundary pollutants as a hazardous waste. So that means we are talking about that there is an adverse impact upon the society, and that is also transboundary, that is also beyond a jurisdiction. And there also talks about that there can be adverse implications upon the environment, upon the public health also. Now these two issues which has been raised in this protocol also. Apart from these two issues, there is another issue which has come forward in this particular convention, that is the introspection of the commercial activities handling this hazardous waste also, whether in the case of transportation and especially in the case of disposal of such waste. Now these two areas, that is the transportation and disposal of the waste, they are the very specific point which has been neglected in before many international law conventions also related to environment. So because there the chance of vulnerability, the chance of sensitivity is there, that while handling these institutions, there can be a chance where they can these commercial activity, these hazardous wastes, they can escape. So there is these two things which has been mentioned about, where in this particular case, that's why this protocol has talking about the careful management of this hazardous waste by using modern technology, which is a matter of low waste also, which is a matter of recycling mechanism also. So these are the two important where alternative remedies which has been given also, where they have said that if you utilize these kind of two principles as a matter of precautionary principles, there you can control over the damage which can be caused due to the hazardous waste. So apart from this particular protocol, there is another protocol which have referred upon the oil spill and the oil pollution also, which is again a very subject matter of environmental harm, and that is liability and responsibility in the case of oil spill and oil pollution. Now in this oil spill and oil pollution, basically there is a particular convention which was passed in the year 1958, and that is known as Convention on Continental Shelf 1958, which has raised serious concern of against the oil pollutions, and through which it has been done through exploration of commercial shelf, and there is a kind of obligation of the state to adopt certain safety measures. In the same year, there is another convention which was passed, that is Convention on High Seas 1958. Now this Convention of High Seas 1958, they also talks about that the oil pollution can arise through the accidental release of the oil which has been used in the ship also. So there they have clearly mentioned that it is the responsibility of the state that they need to prepare certain regulations to cope up with the problem, to cope up this environmental issues through the oil pollution also. So these two conventions talking about the oil spill and the oil pollution either through exploration or either through the accidental release also. Later on, with the passage of time, there is an important convention of UN which has come into picture, that is United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas. Now this United Nations Convention on the Law of Seas play a very crucial role. It is a very exhaustive document in which many specific points which has been mentioned, like protection of sustainability of marine environments. It is also mentioned that apart from sustainability of marine environments, there is a prime obligation of the state that they need to adopt mitigating factors to prevent and control pollution in the marine environment. So there they are talking about the sustainability, they are talking about the preservation of the those living beings, those living resources or non-living resources living which exist in the marine world also. Now these two conventions plays a very crucial role, but again we have not come with a proper solution or proper remedy for the oil spill also. So at the international level, at the international forum, there is a specific body that is called as International Maritime Organization. They took an initiative in the form of introducing International Convention on Civil Liabilities for the oil pollution damage also, 1969. So this particular conventions, they have referred also about that we need to emphasize upon this liability of the states, that they have to be responsible for these things, and there the compensation can be given. But so far as compensation is concerned, there is a specific convention which has come into picture in the year 1971, that is International Convention on the Establishment of an International Fund for Compensation for the Oil Pollution Damage also. So these two conventions plays a very crucial role altogether in dealing these issues, in dealing the problems of these things, and especially the 1969 convention, where it says that the state has to create a mechanism so that they can stop all the oil pollutions, they can stop all the oil spill also. And that's why the same compensation issues it has been mentioned. But these two conventions has been later on replaced by different protocols, and time and again there it has been realized by the state, even by the international maritime organizations, that it is not easy to implement these conventions. So that's why in a very landmark judgment on one particular point in the year 1999, an international convention on oil pollution preparedness, response and cooperation has been introduced. You see the three important points they have mentioned, that is the preparedness, response and cooperation. When these 3 points which has been says they are very much closely connected to tackle the problem of oil pollution, to tackle the problem of oil spill also. So that's why in this particular issues which is consider that either it is the case of accident or either the case of deliberate and action, or even the case of negligence, these conventions, these types of actions play a major hazard for the environment, marine world also. So when these things which has mentioned, modern technology has been introduced, where they have mentioned that apart from the apart from modern technology, the state needs to adopt different kind of mechanisms in the form of remedy, be it in the form of precautionary principles, be it in the form of polluter principles. Now this is all about oil spills and the oil pollutions. There is another perspective which is a very common way of environmental harm, that is nuclear installations also. Now how this nuclear installation plays a very crucial role. So there was a convention in the year 1963 which has come into picture, that is Vienna Convention on Civil Liabilities for Environmental Damage. Now this Vienna Convention has referred about they have referred that that the financial support should be given to those persons who are directly aggrieved directly from the environmental damage also. Now there in this situation it is clearly mentioned that liability shall be imposed upon those corporate bodies who, or those installers also, who are doing this exploration on the nuclear world also. So there these issues has been come into picture. There the point which has been mentioned, that whether the liability which is imposed upon the operators of this nuclear installation, is it absolute or not? So the answer is, which is mentioned in the Vienna Convention, that it is very much absolute in nature. That means there is no compromise with this factor. And another issues where it has been mentioned in this convention, that this convention has played a very crucial role for providing financial security to cover all the other perspectives also, to tackle the problem of nuclear damage, because in these situations it is very difficult to quantify the nuclear damage overall. So that's why in this nuclear damage, in these issues, time and again this point which has been raised also. Now there is another perspective which is a very important part of environmental harm also, that is the environmental damage due to outer space. Now there is a particular convention which has come across related to outer space, and where it has been mentioned that the state has to adopt certain precautionary principles while dealing or while tackling any kind of disruptions due to the existing due to the exploration of this outer space objects in the environment. Now this precautionary principles has been referred under the many conventions, where they are talking about safety measures, they are talking about the use of nuclear powers to avoid any accidental damage also. And this one, and this again, just like in the case of nuclear installation, it is also mentioned in the outer space that the liability is very much strict in nature. There is no compromise with these particular issues also. So we will discuss these things, that these convention, either we discuss about international law commissions or the conventions on the oil spills, we have come across where more or less it has been emphasized a kind of a liability is important either on the state, either on the operator also. So there basically talking about the whenever a liability has been imposed, they are very much strict in nature, they are very much absolute in nature, and as a result of which compensation has to be paid or any kind of alternative remedy has to be adopted.